Good afternoon, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Focus on Liberia on the marketplace, where we talk everything business, finance, and economics. My name is Gabriel Carter. My co-host here is Alex. We have two guests with us today that we're fortunate to have, Mr. Paul Collins and of course Samuel Jackson. We've been talking about the inflation, the high prices, and the printing of money that is to be printed in December. We did a show last week where we talked about these. Sam was with us. He was able to give us a more detailed explanation of what is actually happening in the economy. Today we want to go a deeper into the topic and really maybe get some possible answers as to what is happening in the library economy. Again, my name is Gabriel Carter. It's a pleasure being with you. Wherever you are right now, please take a second, share the show with your friends. Take an hour or so and sit down with us. Prepare your questions as we go through. We take questions. We want this to be an interactive shows because this is something very important that impacts whether you're in Liberia or you're Liberian in the diaspora. It still impacts you. So take a minute, share, and sit down with us, and let's go further into this topic. Alex, nice to having you again. Welcome, and please introduce yourself, and I will give our guests, the time to introduce themselves as well.
Thank you, Gabriel. Thank you. So as you can see now, I'm in this T-shirt because I'm in Minnesota attending the University of Liberia Alumni Association in the Americas convention and election. So I'm here since Minnesota is my home base. I came down here from Texas to be
everybody have a home base.
Also to rally support for my brother who is running for the presidency for Uniba. So thank you again, Alexander Coffee, Alex Coffee for short. Again, I'm the managing consultant for Allen Bernard International, which is bringing this program to you in collaboration with Focus on Liberia. So we have our two guests. Samuel Jackson is a guy who needs no introduction, but we have somebody who probably his first time attending, Paul Collins, who will allow him to introduce himself. But first, let's start with our big brother, Mr. Samuel Jackson, who will introduce himself.
I don't think he need any further introduction, but there we go.
Well, no, I mean, I'm a political activist. My first two undergraduate degrees, banking and economics, Pace University, and then I also have a Bachelor of Science in Management from Johnson & Wales. I attended Providence College Graduate School, and I also have a graduate diploma in international economics and banking from the American Institute of Banking. Worked for many years in merchant banking at Chase Manhattan Bank, where I rose to the level of second vice president. The second vice president sounds like a big thing, but it's actually a senior level clerk, because in order to have a signature or anything in the bank, you have to be a vice president. So the second vice president was like an assistant vice president. So you come from a senior level clerk, and then the next position you put in. So I was not an executive vice president. So when I say I was a second VP at Chase, people say, "Oh, you lying?" Of course, because it looks so big.
AVP at this level, right?
Yeah, that is an AVP. So I don't want people to think like I was like a senior executive at Chase Manhattan Bank. I was just a senior level analyst. Okay, in order for me to sign letters of credit, trade finance instruments, I had to be an authorized letters. Okay, exactly. Okay, so I'm currently a student at my age at the London School of Economics. I'm doing a Master of Science in Cities, Urban Economic Sociology, and the reason for that is several years ago I was an economist on a UN Technical Committee, the high-level panel that produced the Sustainable Development Goals, and it's not a small thing, to be in a room with Dr. Abhishek Banerjee, the Nobel laureate. People like Homi Karazi was the co-lead, and then of course my Liberian co-lead was Dr. Abdullah Dukle, and Dukle always says, Sam, a lot of people, don't know that you were a contributor to this sustainable development goal is such a big thing. But when you be posting foolish thing on Facebook, man, you can just undermine your whole thing. I said, but look,
everybody can undermine on Facebook.
So yeah, Sam, we gotta Paul a little bit.
Let him land.
Let me finish by. So that, okay, so basically, I'm doing this program at LSE because I'm from Soniwen, and for sustainable cities, right, which is goal number 7 in the SDGs, I want to see what I can do to improve the conditions in the city of Monrovia. 70% of the people live in slum. We all came from slum communities. Okay, yep. I don't know about you guys, but I did. Stoneware, and this open ditch is still there with all of the negative things of living in the city of Monrovia. Wretched poverty, you know. So I said, before I die, let me see what I can do about improving conditions in the city of Monrovia. So I will want to be an expert in things of urbanization and economic development, cities, social cohesion, bring electricity, and so that's why I went to LSE, and I'm finishing in a couple of months, and then I will see what I would do to help the city of Monrovia. So that's where I am.
Brilliant. Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Thank you very much. Samuel Jackson, great man. Paul, you're on mute.
All right. Okay. Because of my background, I thought it was necessary to go on mute while Sam was speaking.
Yep.
So my name is Paul Collins. I am an accountant originally. That's how I started my professional life. I am a member. Actually, I'm a fellow of the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants in the UK. I am also a certified internal auditor with the Institute of Internal Audit in the US. I have my first master's in economics, international business economics, the second master's in international commercial law. I've also got down a PhD. I've been working with a number of blue chip institutions in the UK, MCI WorldCom, IBM. I'm now back in Liberia. I've worked with USAID as the head of the finance office. I'm ex-CBL. I was the director of internal audit at the Central Bank of Liberia, so I know the Central Bank. Then I've been around. I've done all kinds of stuff. I was with USAID GEMS project as deputy chief of party. And I have my own audit practice. I'm an auditor, but I also do a lot of PFM consultancy. That's public finance management consultancy. Recently, I was posted in the Sahel region by the EU to provide support to a number of governments over there in developing their PFM systems. So I'm here right now in Liberia. I'm very active in the waterside area. I'm very active in the markets. And I'm a big critic of the central bank. I don't like the way they do some things. Okay, I understand the governance system in Liberia. I was responsible for creating the internal audit agency, where I supported up to 50 government entities. I provided consultancy and assurance services to them through my guys who were posted in these entities. So I know the system back home. I consider myself an expert here in Liberia, and I'm glad to be on this show.
You're not only an expert in Liberia, you're an expert in West Africa, UK, all over the place, my friend. So that's what the book will bring here today. So you know now, Samuel Jackson book, man, we bring another book, man, PFM, and all the usage thing. So you'll see that the people finishing about 15 minutes just for their intro. It's not easy. People know book. Okay,
how about you?
Thank you, gentlemen. We have Paul on the road. Actually, he's going to be Kenya, and so he's sparing his time here. We're hoping that his network doesn't drop by the time we get to the nitty-gritty of this program. So, let's go a little faster. I know we dealt down in this topic last week, but let's just get some meat on the bones that was created last week. Right. So, again, we like to keep it simple, you know, so that the ordinary person can understand. Yeah, we'll speak all the big book, but at the same token, if you don't bring the big book down for the layman to understand, then what is the use of the book? Okay, so let me ask the first question. Anybody can chip in. What is the current inflation rate of Liberia? And what is the current exchange rate, the US dollar to Liberian dollar rate? What is it?
Let me come in on that one, since I'm the guy who could be in and out of coverage area. Sorry. Right now, I was just looking at the CBL latest publication. The CBL say the current inflation rate has dropped from around 11% to around 8%, closing down to 7%. That's what the CBL is telling us. Okay, I don't like what they are saying because they are wrong. But then that's another part of the discussion. Now, the exchange rate currently is around $145 to $1 USD. Okay, that's what I was able to change my little US for just today. $145 Liberian dollars to $1 USD.
Okay.
So once again, you say the exchange rate, the inflation rate as it stands now is what, 7%?
8%.
Yeah, it's between 7 and 8%.
So we'll leave it on the high note, 8%.
Yeah. So it dropped from 11% to 8%.
8%.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So maybe within the last year or so, it's been hovering within this the double
digit bracket.
It was at 13. It was at 13 probably about 6 months ago, right?
I know at some point it was 19. So it keep dropping, so to speak.
Right.
And again, Paul Collins is saying that's what the central bank is saying.
Right.
Yeah, but that's the official records right now.
Right.
Okay. So we'll come back to that. And the exchange rate is around 145.
145.
Okay, so we get that. So will we consider this as low inflation rate and low exchange rate?
Correct. The central bank the government is essentially saying, and they're backed by the IMF. The government is essentially saying that prices are dropping, because that's what you mean when you say inflation is dropping. Okay, inflation is coming down from 11% to 8%. That means prices are dropping, prices are coming down. That is what the government is telling us. And according to the government, that is a big achievement.
Okay, so what if the exchange rate is low as it is now, and the inflation rate is low? What impact does it have on the prices of goods and services?
I think he's frozen. Sam, maybe you want to come in before I
okay. Yeah. Okay. Given the figures that Paul gave, right, it means that there has been a 15% appreciation in the Liberian dollar from the high of not high, but the 170 that lasted for a long time. Was still at 170, 172 for a long time. Okay. So if it went down to 145, that's to 25 points. That's about 15% appreciation of the Liberian dollar, right? Mm-hmm. Which is not a bad thing, right? But the anomaly that we're experiencing in this particular third and fourth quarter, when you contrast it to the other quarters over the historical periods, okay? Because, like in the third and fourth quarter, actually the fourth quarter specifically, because of the huge quantum of inward remittances coming to the country, where there's a lot of US dollars coming in, the rate typically drops. Okay, then after that, a business cycle which ends in December, New Year, after it goes down, when the people start to reorder goods again, then the rate goes back up again. So I haven't had the opportunity to do the plotting, okay, over the last, say, 5 years to compare fourth quarter appreciation of the Liberian dollar versus other period. What does that mean? Over the last 5 years, every October, November, December, mostly November, December, when plenty of money come into the country, like US dollar, the rate will come down. right? But for this particular time, it's coming down more than ever, right? It does appear that way. So if it appears that way, we want to know, then we want to know what are the factors. Because then we have to find out the correlations, okay, in terms of the economic variables. What is happening in terms of our current account? Current account means all the money that goes in the country versus all the money that can go out. And we are in an import-dependent economy. So we have much more money, you know, that goes out because we buy 90% of what we consume, we're buying it from outside. And then people have their families and so we got more money. So the trade deficit. Okay, what is the trade deficit? Liberia export things outside. Okay, like our iron ore, coffee, rubber, and those kind of things, right? And then we'll bring in a lot of.
All right, I think we're losing Sam.
Well, we're losing the people from Liberia. Sam is also.
I know Liberia, the network over there is bad today. There's rain, there's bad cloud there.
Yeah, but Gabriel, you can step in. What
I know, and I'm glad that.
Can you hear me now, guys?
You're back.
Okay, no, so I'm saying 1.2 billion versus about $600-700 million in.
Right, so there's a deficit. We know there's a deficit there, right? Because
so then more than because the things that impact the exchange rate is typically the balance of payments and things that are happening in what we call the external sector. Okay, what the relationship between your currency and a foreign currency is what is the trade between the two currencies. So if you need more foreign currency to finance your trade, it means you're going to be paying a higher price. That's the supply and demand that go with it. Okay. So, but there is something happening in this fourth quarter that appears unusual because 25% appreciation of the Liberian dollar seems anomalous. Anomalous means it looks strange. Okay. So the central bank has not done a deep dive. And the other people who are on the opposite side, like the opposition, they don't have the think tanks to do the deep analysis. So it leaves the public wondering. But let me tell you what are some of the factors that could be contributing to this. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I was wanting to get to.
Okay, great. Since 2016, 2017, 2018, there was a great infusion of the $16 billion, right?
Yeah.
So the velocity of that money, the usage of that money over a period of time, okay, has created a lot of tier notes. In the United States, every 18 months, the currency is retrieved and new ones put there because when money changes hands, people put it in a pocket, they put it in a wallet, it tears. But now imagine Liberia now, where my Kolu and my Jebeden, they put in the money in the lapa, some of them putting it on the thing, some of them the rat eating, all the kind of thing there, right? So I estimate that between 15 to 20% of the money that was infused at that particular time, that tier money now, people don't want it. So it's in people's houses, in people's pocket. The market not accepting them. So that reduced the currency in circulation. You know that most of the currency in circulation is out of the banking system for the fact that Liberia is a highly informal economy.
Yeah.
Okay. 80.9% of the workforce is in the informal, is an informal economy, right?
Yeah.
Informal sector.
They are vulnerably employed.
Vulnerably employed, okay. But the thing is, Liberia is also mostly an unbanked economy. Let me explain what unbanked means. Unbanked means you have very limited number of people, especially adults with bank accounts.
The bank accounts, right?
Access to bank. So if you have a limited number of people with bank accounts, you need currency. In Kenya, 90% of their output GDP is intermediated by the banking system because they're using M-Pesa, a lot of digital banking, and they're using checking accounts, right? In Liberia, only 7%. In Ghana, it's around 49, 50%. So even if you look at the composition of the stock of money, the Liberian dollar portion. At one time, only 6% within the banks. Now they say it's 80 to 85%. I don't know where that figure come from, but okay. So they say now there is better. But the reason why it's better, because you're doing more mobile money, you're doing more Visa and MasterCard points of sale. The other thing that might be contributing to this is the central bank is issuing something called T-bills. And you know what T-bills are? T-bills are strictly instruments to mop up excess liquidity. Excess liquidity means when you have too much money within circulation, the number one reason why a central bank exists is to maintain the value of your currency stability, the value of your money, and right? So the central bank have, a central bank have a lot of tools at their disposal. One of the tools they use is what we call the reserve ratio. 17 cents out of every dollar goes into the reserve. Okay, that's the prudential guideline. Yeah, for banks. 17%, right? So if they increase the reserve ratio, that means it is a contractionary monetary policy. If they reduce it, then it's expansionary. So, but then there's another tool where the central bank uses something called T-bills. When they sell something to the commercial banks, they get money and they're selling it in Liberian dollars. And that is denominated, the coupon rate is 20%. So there are billions of those dollars that have been bought by the central bank because the average lending rate is 12%. So it makes more sense for commercial banks to buy government T-bills for them to lend out there. So that's some of the factor. Okay, so I think that the technical reason why this thing is happening is the composition of all of those, and maybe some unknown. But these are my educated guesses on why you have this appreciation of Liberian dollar, because it does appear that the economy is expanding. When the economy is expanding, the money supply must respond by increasing what we call the quantitative theory of money, UTM, right? But if you don't have the currency there, because you have a cash and carry economy, you need physical cash, then the value of that physical cash automatically starts to go up. Okay. So those are some of the factors.
Okay. That is a lot that you said. Some in a way I agree with it. Some I would vehemently disagree with it.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
And that's the beauty of learning. The conversion of thoughts actually expands your learning ability, and that's why we're here, right? There's a lot you've said, right? So, and I think Paul may have said a little bit as well. He said the exchange rate right now is at 145, right? The inflation rate, however, it's at 8%. And one thing he said that kind of puzzled me was that the IMF is actually backing this up. However, we have high prices in the market. So how do we have high prices in the market, and then we will supposedly have a low inflation rate number? So that's the problem there, right? We will supposedly have 8%. It was 13%, I think, about 6 months ago. And now we're being told that the central bank is putting out that is actually at 8%. However, we do have a high price in the market right now, which everybody is complaining about, right? So, and that's what I think there might be a problem with how they calculate that inflation in terms of how they arrive at that number. There could be some faulty math here, but in reality, usually when you do math, whatever you're doing math, you're running models, you got to come from behind those models to make sure it aligns with the reality that's actually taking place in the market economy. So that means you can sit back, you get fed data, you run your regressions and everything else you got to do, but you also have to look at the reality in the market. So the number that the central bank is putting out as the inflation rate does not align with the reality that is taking place in the market. So that's one point I wanted to make on that. The second one is that you said the infusion of money over the last 5 years since 2016, right? That's the reason the central bank exists. If you have put in 16 billion in the market since 2016, right? Even if we have an informal sector, you should know the quantity of money, right? The quantity, the money supply in the market, to be able to say, okay, we've had this much money in the market, right? Whether you can account for it in the banking sector, whether it's there or not, you should be able to know how much of it is actually missing in the informal sector. Would you agree with me on that?
What I can agree with you on that, the calculation of broad money, especially currency in circulation, is an inexact science, as you know. Okay,
it's
an inexact science.
I agree with you, right? Okay. I agree with you because Go ahead.
Well, okay, it's an inexact science. An inexact science means that somebody has to sit behind a computer and do some guess estimates and do some linear and
that's why economics will have margin of error, right?
Yes, exactly. Right. Yeah, of course. Okay. So, and Gabriel, you're so right about to be cynical, but you know what?
I'm not being cynical.
No. Because I'm saying because you're expressing disbelief at the figures that the central bank is presenting. Right. You have a right as a citizen with some brain cells to question the central bank. But the problem I have with the opposition is that if they have a think tank with the quality of people like Alexander Coffey and Gabriel Carter and Paul Collins, okay, and they can find a way to fund the research.
I don't want to make this about opposition.
But I think it's important. No, but you see, Gabriel, you can't say you disagree with it because it looks bad when you don't have an empirical evidence to dispute what they're doing. Because what they're doing is official, right? So you have Brookings Institution, you have Hoover Institution, you have Russell Sage, you have all those people there who are there to be watchdogs, right? For the people. So they have their research economists that look at the blue book the Federal Reserve Bank put out.
So Mr. Jackson, to a point. Yeah. What this particular program is about is to provide education to the Liberian people. This is not about what the opposition is doing and what the opposition is doing.
I agree with him.
No, we don't want to play into. No, we don't want this program to play into opposition politics.
Yeah,
Alex,
we don't want this program to play into opposition politics. We want to provide education. And this is why we call in there. We believe that
let's be fair now.
Yeah, but we're not going to argue on what the opposition is not doing and what the opposition is doing.
I'm not arguing
on that. We have to discuss our government. And
let him qualify his statement.
If he disagrees with what I'm saying, there must be a basis for that disagreement. Okay?
Jackson, Sam. Gabriel Carter is a subject matter expert on this program.
Yeah,
so he's providing his subject matter expertise. He's not providing opposition view. So don't bring opposition inside.
Okay, agree.
Alex,
fair enough.
Alex.
But then let's not say opposition. Let's not say opposition.
That's what I want you to qualify your
statement. Let's not say opposition. Let's use another terminology. Let's use another terminology, right? So if you're uncomfortable opposition, let's use another terminology, right?
Right.
Okay, so it appears that you want, let's not use opposition. I'm willing to grant arms on that.
So
but then there must be a counter. There must be a counter, an independent analysis that has to be done to counter what the central bank is putting out by other experts.
Right.
But for Gabriel to say, well, I don't like I'm not sure the central bank is doing proper inflation accounting because all of these things that there has to be a basis. So let somebody write a paper.
Can I come in? At least I've been at the central bank. I know how these numbers are calculated. Okay, I'll go ahead.
So Paul, wait a minute. Yeah. Paul, you went off, so we were having a free flow discussion here. All right.
To Sam thing. Sam, Paul, if you can hold on, let me finish what I was saying. I know Sam came in the mid because I wanted him to. He kind of went off by mentioning opposition, which I don't want this to be, we don't want this to be about opposition, but I think you're right to say, if you want to challenge something, they offer, empirical data. You want to go off of empirical data. I agree with you to that point as well. But just because there isn't empirical data, I work in the banking sector myself. I think you alluded to the beige book. We eat up the beige book as if it's like a Bible in the banking sector here, right? Because every quarter, the Fed survey, the 12 central banks here, they survey each region, and they put out an economic pulse, which is pretty much allow you to assess what is happening in the economy, right? However, what I was saying about, most of the things that you actually did mention, the infusion of the 16 billion US Liberian dollar into the economy since 2016, right? I agree with you. We do have an informal banking sector where a lot of people don't have access to bank, but we do. If you are saying this is the central bank that is putting out, that has infused this money, which was true, into the economy, you should have some form of data that is able to tell you how much money you still have in the economy, how much is mutilated. Here in America, right, it is actually done on a daily basis. If you have a ripped up dollar bill, let's say if it's cut in half, you can put tape on it and bring it to any bench bank. They will take it the next day. It will probably in the next week, it will end up at the central bank and they will replace it, right? So they do that here. But you say, I think what you said, quarterly is done every quarter or every 6 months, right?
No, I never said that. I said basically, I don't know. I don't know. First of all, I said in America, 18 months, every 18 months, all the currency that's out there comes back in and they bring that new one.
Take it out and put it out.
But in Liberia, right. 2016, 2017, and 2018, they infused this quantum of money. And it's being used now for a period of almost 5 years. I'm projecting, okay, that's my educated guess, that between 15 to 20% of those notes that were put in circulation are mutilated notes now. And people
either that or they're being held in,
or they're being held. Okay, or whatever, right? So if that happens, that will reduce the quantum of money supply. The quantum of currency in circulation. Right. When the quantum of currency in circulation is reduced, the value goes up. Because if, like I told you, there's a relationship between economic growth rate and the money supply. So the more people need to spend, they need to spend to purchase. They need the physical cash because of the structure of our economy. So, I just
every economy, right?
Excuse me, gentlemen.
Let me hear Paul's views.
Let me one more thought, and I will let Paul come in.
Gabriel.
Wait, 1 second. 1 second, please. 1 second. Let me finish. I agree with you on that, right? If you put 16 billion out, you should be able to know which part is being which part is how much of it is actually in our money sector, banking sector, which can be accounted for, and subtracted for how much is not in the sector. That way, you're able to meticulously go off for the demand of the economy to infuse money in there according to the demand in the market, right? So that whole aspect that there's a shortage of money in the economy. That's part of the rationale behind this. The central bank's supposed to know the amount of money in the economy, right? If you know the amount of money in the economy, in banking, what we say, central bank print money, the businesses create money, right? The central bank is just there to print the money. They don't just print money and put it in the economy. They print money and sit on it and wait for the demand in the economy before they are able to infuse that money in there, right? So if you put that money in the economy, you should be able to track it aggressively to know how much is actually being held in the informal sector and how much is actually in the formal sector. That way, it allows you to go off of the demand and be able to infuse money there methodically without having inflationary issues like we're having right now, right? So that was one of the point that I wanted to counter.
So Gabriel,
I will allow Paul to come in.
No, Gabriel, you and Samuel Jackson. Me right now are playing the role of a Gbanan Peking. The Peking they were in the street who trying to understand the thing. Because I've seen some comment in here is what the bread and butter issues that people are concerned about. So all these book and this. It doesn't add
let's
up to
Paul
what
come in and then we'll go.
I'm right there in Waterside. Listen, I'm in Waterside every day.
Okay?
My office is right there in Waterside.
So what we want to explain to these people in Waterside and other places, the local people and people like me who not understand the boy you're explaining, I just need to get a clarity on behalf of the people.
We will try to do that.
Let me ask Paul Collins.
We will try to do that. Paul.
The whole inflation thing we're talking about. Let me speak Liberian English, so maybe you can understand where I'm coming from. The whole inflation thing we're talking about, whether it's low, whether it's high, you say low. The ST rating we're talking about, you say a low.
Right.
The inflation, how they can calculate it, Paul? How they can?
Okay, so let me tell you normally. The first point I want to make is that the inflation calculation currently is wrong. That's the first argument I'm putting forth. It is wrong because it is heavily skewed in favor of the Liberian dollars, the movements in Liberian dollars. So when the exchange rate is strong as it is right now in favor of the Liberian dollars, when you have to give up less Liberian dollars for more US dollars, then the way the government computes inflation will result in a lower inflation rate on paper, only on paper, not in fact.
Thank you.
Okay, only on paper. Because what the government does is, there's a basket of goods in the inflation computation basket, right?
Yep.
Now, all those items are converted to Liberian dollars at the prevailing exchange rate.
Exchange rate, right.
With no regards to the level of dollarization in the market, with no regard to the weight of each of our currencies. Our currency is a dual currency. Our system is a dual currency regime. We are not like other countries, Ghana or Sierra Leone. So the model they use to compute inflation in these countries, you can't use that same model here in Liberia. Okay? What they've always done is to use this model, and so they have always been wrong. But what makes it so obvious now is that prices are shooting up and their computations are shooting down on paper. What the government needs to do.
Right. Yep. I think we lost him there again.
Yeah. But look, he made a valid point, gentlemen. He made a valid point, right?
That's what I was saying.
So, but here it is now. He basically saying that the consumer price index, right? The weighted portion of that, the computation is heavily skewed towards Liberian dollars. So if the value of the Liberian dollar is appreciating, it reflects a lower inflation rate. Now that could be a valid point. It could be a valid point. Now, so what I would say again, right? This is not just for a spirited debate, but also to inform the people in Liberia
exactly
what's going on. So then people like Paul and myself who understand these things, we need to sit down and we need to propose to the government to let's Liberianize or customize the calculation of the CPI. Because the CPI is based upon a
what they call CPI?
Okay, the Consumer Price Index.
Okay,
the Consumer Price Index. Okay, now, okay.
What I do?
What I do? The Consumer Price Index determine what they got something called a basket, and they put all the things there that Liberian people are spending money on. Okay, basket of goods and services, right? They put into that basket there, and then there are same people outside to go check it. Okay, so how those prices move up and down in those basket? If they do the weighted average based upon the percent, what we call the household income and expenditure survey, will tell you what percentage of your income you spend on rent, what percentage you spend on food, what percentage you spend on transportation. So all of that one there. So we have a fancy calculation, but all it means is that the Consumer Price Index is about I don't know how many goods in that basket there. But it's a basket. They create this artificial basket, and they project how people spending money within the economy. So the prices of all those goods are counted monthly, quarterly, and yearly to determine the consumer price index, to determine the rate of inflation. So that's what they do. What is going up, going down? But Professor Collins is saying that because we have a dual currency and a lot of the goods that are in that basket there is based upon imports, right? When they do the weighted average, when they mean the weighted average is that they skew it for the Liberian dollar. So for example, if the Liberian dollar rate is coming down, it will make the inflation rate to look small. Okay, so he disagrees with that. That is what he's saying. So he's saying that they must have another way.
What would you say to that?
But the question, Sam, the question then is that realistic? Because the question, it begs the question, what is the correlation or what's the relationship between inflation, exchange rate, and the prices of goods and services, which we're trying to derive here?
But that's a very good question.
What is happening in Liberia is like the inflation rate is going down astronomically, as you indicated, that is gone down by this percentage, 20%, or that, as you indicated from the beginning, and the exchange rate is also astronomically going down, but the prices of goods and services is not going down, and the people who we are supposed to serve are not feeding what is going on with this good. But you also said, and I will come, and you will come to that part. You also said the economy expanding, but answer the first question first, then you will come to the other part.
Great. The expansion part. Okay, great. Prices are based upon supply and demand, and the profit motive of the producer is based upon his cost. What did he acquire that product for? So let's take Mawata, for example, who went and bought a whole truckload of peppers from Guinea. And she used the rate. At that time, the rate was 170. She bought her US dollars at 170 to buy her pepper from Guinea. She brings the pepper from Guinea, but the rate now is gone down. But the cost that Mawata bought those pepper for was 170. You cannot expect Mawata to bring her price down because the exchange rate has gone down. The other reason why you cannot expect that, because even in economic terms, prices, the downward relationship of prices is not automatic with exchange rate or inflation as it is when it's going up. When inflation is reflected, the prices go up quicker. But when the exchange rate comes down, prices don't come down as fast for several reasons. Because number one, the cost, and number two, that's just how our economies are, is just supply and demand. So prices don't drop as fast as they rise. Prices rise faster than they drop. So unless now Mawata got all that pepper there and people don't want to buy the pepper, then she will go banjo the pepper. You follow me?
That's what I was going to say, right?
So since people still buying the pepper at her price, she will not banjo the pepper. That means she's making her profit. You follow me? But the next time she go buy the pepper from Guinea, she will have more money to buy because.
So Sam, based on what you said, when the prices drop in Liberia, with the constant dropping over the past 1 year of the inflation and exchange rate, you remember that I think about a year or two ago the exchange rate was 200 to the US dollar. Now it's 145, and it's been consistent. The inflation was 28%, 30%. Now it's 8% over a long period of time. How long will these prices take to drop? How long will Mawata sell on goods for these prices to drop? So it appears that this is artificial and it's intentional. The calculation, as Paul was trying to indicate, the calculation of the inflation rate is artificial and it's intentional.
Okay, I don't have any evidence of what you're saying. But I'm quoting Paul. Okay, but I'm saying, okay, but he doesn't. If he believes that, let him present the evidence, okay? And I want him to come to present the evidence. Okay, he's a very educated man. I'm sure he has some empirical evidence.
Well, also, what I want you to do, okay, this is not about Paul. This is about you. What you're saying that my water will take some time for our prices to drop. But what I'm saying to what you're saying is that over about a year now, inflation has been steadily going down, but prices are going up and up.
Stayed.
So what is the correlation? Explain what you just said. Let's talk about Paul.
Let me repeat myself. The profit motive. Capitalism is greed. There is not an incentive for producers and suppliers to bring their prices down when there's a demand, when the demand is steady. That's the bottom line. When people are priced out of the market, when a lot of people say they're not buying pepper, 5 paw for $20, 5 paw for $20, my water, they will be forced to bring the price down. But as long as demand is stable, there is no incentive for producers and suppliers to bring their prices down. That's economics.
Let me inject one thing in that.
The government.
So give me okay, Paul. Give me some example where it happened in other countries.
Okay,
give me some other countries where it happened. Prices going this way and inflation going that way.
No, it does happen. It does happen, and especially with inflation, there have been times in the United States in 1942 where they had a price and wage stabilization board. In 1970, when we finish, Nixon created a price and wage stabilization board in response to inflation. Okay, and even Jimmy Carter, right? So I would propose to the government of Liberia that we pick the 10 or 15 or 20
Where is it happening in modern times?
Let me finish now. Yes. Let me finish. No,
you get it. 1950, you get your part time. I'm talking about our time now. Where it happened?
What I'm saying. Wait now. Wait.
But we get it. But way back time. I mean,
the world has changed. Listen to me. The examples I gave. Let me finish. At the stage of economic development of countries, they impose certain restrictions to reflect the stage of economic development. What I'm saying to you is that when I was at the Ministry of Commerce, we had the price and marketing analysis thing, and we used to determine the margin at which the importers, the retailers will sell their goods. I'm proposing again that we set up a list of commodities. I know you may disagree with that because I'm a free marketer, right?
If you're a free marketer, you won't propose that.
No, but I'm a free marketer, but I also understand the stage of economic development and the level of information that goes into make a pure economic situation, right? So you take 15 or 20 commodities, you monitor those, and you give a range in the price fluctuation, and you monitor those. We used to have it before. So what is that?
That's market. You're interfering with market.
No, but you see, Gabriel, Nigeria does it. Nigeria does it. Kenya does it, and South American countries do it. They monitor prices and they put the range that certain commodity prices can fluctuate in. That is to protect the consumer. We do that with rice. We have a rice price.
If there's a range, yes. If you're talking about range, I agree with you.
In the United States, we do that. We have a rate commission for electricity and water and other public services. So the market forces don't always be the catalyst to determine the prices out there. They have rate commissions that do that. So I just gave you now, Alex, I just gave you an example now, real world situation where in the United States, we have public service commissions that determine the prices for utilities. I
agree with you. No, you're right. You're right.
There you go.
Right. So the question, Paul, just give me a minute. Let me bring Sam back to the discussion here. The question I think that we wanted to, wanting to clarify. You're proposing that we actually the government set up a economic team or analysts.
No. I'm saying a price stabilization commission. If this situation gets worse, then we might we might need, because other countries have done that. Nigeria does that. Kenya does that. They have a price and wage stabilization commission, right?
And
in America, we do that with public service utilities. We do that. So what's wrong with saying, let's just have the 10 most essential commodities: rice, gasoline, transportation, baby formula, those kinds of essential commodities there. Those are the things that Mount Mary and Mount Water then use. Why don't we monitor those prices and see how we can effectively ensure that there is no profiteering? The idea is to stop profiteering. Last week, the Minister of Commerce...
I listened to the Minister of Commerce.
Sam, Paul is back. He decided to pack. So let's allow...
Exactly.
Let's allow
I've listened to the Minister of Commerce.
I've been back and forth. I've been back and forth behind the scenes trying to get Paul back. So, Paul,
I'm in Liberia. You forgive me.
Can you come back?
So, I've listened to this argument about people profiteering. That's not true. That is not the case. There's no profiteering going on.
Yeah.
Okay, there's no way you expect me to pay a higher cost for my goods from wherever I import it from, bring it to Liberia and sell it to you cheap. You know, it used to cost the importers, the people who bring in containers from China, it used to cost them about $4,000-$5,000 to bring in a container. Freight and insurance and everything, right? Now they're paying $20,000.
Yep. From 5,000
those
to
prices
20,000.
are going up.
Yeah.
Now you don't expect them to reduce their prices of goods here. And remember, almost everything in this country is imported. Almost everything is imported. And to import goods here, you have to pay in US dollars to buy them. So we use a lot of US dollars to bring in the goods that we have on our markets. All right. And so you cannot, it is not fair to the economy when knowing that we use a lot more US dollars than Liberian dollars in terms of their actual values. Okay, we use a lot more US dollars. In fact, our dollarization rate is a little over 70%. I think it's around 72% right now.
Yep.
Okay, it's around 72% our dollarization
Close
rate.
to 80, right?
And we are not just partially dollarized. We are fully dollarized. We are officially dollarized. Okay, so the real currency here in Liberia is US dollars. So when people quote you a price in Liberian dollars, it is actually a conversion from US to Liberian dollars. Now, what's happening when you go to buy something that you used to pay $5 for in USD, the people will ask you to add 200 Liberty on top of it. Okay? Because of the exchange rate issue. I wanted to talk a little about the causes, the actual cost of the exchange rate strengthening against the US dollars. Okay? But let me first finish on this inflation calculation. The calculation is just plain wrong. When you, instead of converting to Liberian dollars at the end of the day, converting everything in the basket to Liberian dollars, the government needs to maintain, to keep those goods in their original currencies.
Yep.
Those items like pepper, cassava, tomatoes that are produced locally and sold in the local currency, Liberian dollars, keep them in Liberian dollars. Do not convert them to any other currency. Those items that are procured in US dollars, that are imported,
right,
keep them in US dollars. Then you compensate the two, you weight the two based on, say, the dollarization ratio. Okay? It is not that the money stock is decreasing. No, the currency in circulation is not decreasing. Right now, we've got around $23 billion in circulation. It is just that most of that money, as it has always been, is out of the banking system.
Right.
Okay? We have around 93% of the currency in circulation out of the banking system.
And this is not today's matter, it's been always.
Always. It's always been like that.
Right.
But the difference now is, you know, in the past, the Lebanese and the Fulani people used to give their monies to the banks.
Wait,
now they do not give their money to the banks.
No, but that's the difference. Paul, can I correct you, please?
Yeah, what's the rate right now? What is the rate?
No, I want to correct him. In 2016, 2017, 2018, okay, and part of 2019, about 4 to 6% of currency in circulation was in the bank. But that has improved dramatically to about 80 to 85% now. According to the latest central bank So you may just need to check that again.
Sam, that is not true.
That is
something I know for a fact.
Let me tell you, I'm one of the board of one of the financial institutions in this country. If I'm the largest financial institution in this country, I'm a member of that board.
That is not true, Sam. I know
it.
No, but let me cite the central
bank.
The banking system.
I know why the banks have in advance.
What you just said.
Wait, are you saying that we went from 7% to 80%?
No, I said the currency in circulation. At one time, 94% of the Liberian dollars, were outside of the banking system. But now it has improved to about 80 to 85% outside. You got about 15%, 10 to 15% inside the banks now. And I
so how come they don't have that money? The central bank doesn't have the money, the commercial bank doesn't have the money. So which banking system is it in? Let me tell you what's happening. You know the people who sell gold and diamond to the Asians. The people who sell to the Asians to buy, for instance.
Wait, let him land. Let me land,
please.
Okay, Sam, we understand your point.
The diamond and gold traders who sell to Dubai.
But let me say the central
in the past, they brought their currencies through the central bank.
Mr. Jackson, you cannot determine how Paul will give his statement. Please.
You can rebuttal that statement when he's done.
Let me give you an example of what's happening. What's keeping the money out of the banking system? In the past, and I'm ex-central bank, I know what I'm talking. I'm not just talking what's in the book. I'm talking what's happening. In the past, the central bank imported the foreign currencies for the commercial banks and everybody else. So the central bank knew what was coming into the market fairly. Now, most of the people trading gold and diamond, most of the big businesses in Liberia, they do not import through their commercial banks or the central bank. They bring in their hard currencies. And the central bank knows this. The commercial banks have complained to the central bank, informing the central banks that the gold companies, the mining companies were bringing in hard cash into the country and giving it to the Lebanese people and the Fula people. Now, in the past, the central bank or the commercial banks could go to the Lebanese people to collect their deposits in Liberian dollars and deposit them at the commercial banks. Now, when they go to these Lebanese and Fula people, they tell them there's no Liberian dollars because these people are trading directly with the mining companies. That's what is happening. Forget the textbook. Let me tell you the reality of what's happening. I'm right there in the market. The Fula people are walking around from shop to shop buying up Liberian dollars because they have all these US dollars coming to them from their gold and diamond dealers, the mining companies, and they have to trade with them, give them Liberian dollars and take the US dollars. The mining companies use the Liberian dollars in the counties, in the Leeward areas. That's one reason why there's more money now outside the banking system. It has always been like that, but it's gotten worse.
It's gotten worse.
The Susu clubs used to keep their monies with the commercial banks. Now the Susu clubs no longer keep their monies with the commercial banks.
I think we need to do another show on the central bank, and they're
so the central bank has lost it.
Allow Paul to talk.
You will not find any Susu club now that in the past around December like that, the Susu clubs will rush to the commercial banks to collect their monies. For them to divide up and everything, distribute among their members. Now that's not going to happen because they are no longer saving with the commercial banks. So there's something fundamentally wrong at the central bank.
The oversight.
Ever since 2008, I monitor the currency in circulation. I've been tracking it. I've written a few papers, and I've done a regression analysis and some correlation computations to see the relationship between the currency in circulation and the exchange rate. And there was a direct positive relationship. Now, what you will find is that the central bank doesn't have anything. They don't know what's going on. The Fula people have taken over the economy. The monies are out there in the economy. The central bank is attempting to mop up the money. There's some impact through the T-bill sales, but it isn't much. The commercial banks don't have the cash.
You just answer my question.
Okay, but Paul, can you give me a chance to just kind of respond a little bit?
Perfect. Thank you, Paul.
I wrote a paper 2 years ago, right? And I will give you a copy of that paper in terms of what was happening into the monetary aggregate. Okay, there are 3 parallel financial structures. In fact, 4 parallel financial structures existing outside of the normal banking system in Liberia. And Paul is right. The Fula are the largest, the Lebanese, the Indians, and then, of course, the Susu clubs. Okay? 2016, 2017, 2018, the quantum of currency in circulation outside of the banking system was at its highest, 4 to 6%. Okay, currency in circulation. But over the last 2 years, improved digitization, mobile money, points of sale, payments like the Visa, the MasterCard. So you have banks intermediating more of GDP compared to the past. You know, the circular flow, Professor Collins, you're aware of the circular flow. Producers, suppliers, and then the banks in the middle, right?
Professor.
No, I'm just saying, okay. But in Kenya, more than 90% of GDP is intermediated by digital payment called something called M-Pesa, right?
So we agree that that's an improvement.
Let me just.
You see, the digital money really doesn't affect F2. Okay, the digital money really doesn't affect F1, M1.
Okay, no, but hold on a second.
You see,
the digital
money affects the money supply and not the currency in circulation.
Wait, let him land.
But let me tell you what it does. Digital payment keep it just basically transfer balances.
Mr. Jackson, you will not sway the discussion differently to your Kenya.
How much sway the? But why
you need to counter what Paul is saying, because what Paul is saying,
I'm responding to what he's saying.
I understand what he's saying.
I'm responding to what he's saying.
Yeah, don't bring your Kenya business here. We don't want that. We want reality of Liberia.
No, but if you understand the discussion, and I'm talking about M-Pesa and digitization, this all has an impact on currency circulation.
Money in our country, they're talking about digitization to Kenya.
No, but wait, my man, stop, man. Stop, man.
If I have mobile money and I'm only transacting with somebody who also accepts mobile money, and that person is transacting with another person who has mobile money account, it doesn't affect the currency in circulation. It affects the money supply.
Paul, I'm speaking about Visa
the currency in circulation is the hard paper money. The pieces of paper
right now,
that are passed around the place.
It doesn't affect the hard paper money, but what it does affect is the money supply in terms of
exactly.
M1 exactly. In the banking system. Okay, yeah, exactly. But hold on a second, Paul. Visa and MasterCard, you will agree with me that there are more points of sale being created in Liberia compared to the last 2-3 years. You agree with that, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So if you agree with that, so we're shifting balances in accounts now by using the Visa and the MasterCard. So there is less demand. There's less demand for physical money. Right? You agree with that? You agree with that?
No, it's not actually working like that. Let me tell you why. Those of us who have the Visa and MasterCard in Liberia, we go to the ATM and we look for cash. Okay? Those of us who have the Visa and MasterCard in Liberia and the mobile money, we go to our mobile money agents and we cash out. We want cash.
Yes.
So when you go in the counters, you still have to deal with cash, not Visa and MasterCard. Only the supermarkets and the restaurants accept Visa and MasterCard payments.
Paul, why you saying?
I think we have swayed away from
yourself. You're contradicting yourself, because if the merchant can accept my Visa card, right, or my MasterCard or whatever, right, or my tip me, right, it does not make any sense for me to go to the ATM to withdraw the money. That's too much effort.
So, Sam,
but that is what is happening.
Hold on.
No, but you see, but it's not.
How many people pay by Visa or MasterCard in the supermarkets?
That's what
Very few people. Most of the time, the network is down. It is an unreliable payment method. It doesn't work.
No, man.
Paul, hold on.
Stop the kind of thing that, man. Stop it. People are using Visa. I go to the supermarket every day here.
Sam,
I use Visa and MasterCard all the time. I use Visa card all the time. It doesn't work.
What you're just saying is because of the use of the MasterCard, the Visa card, and the mobile money. That why it's making Liberian dollars short on the market.
No, never said that.
I don't know why the Visa and MasterCard came into this conversation.
No. Listen to me.
We were dealing with currency in circulation.
We're talking about there's a complete parallel market, as Paul just said. There's a complete parallel market that has been that has been established that the central bank has no control of.
I agree with Paul. On the parallel market. I studied that. The Fullahs, the Lebanese, the Indians, and the Susu clubs, they have a parallel market. And that parallel market is outside the jurisdiction of the banking system. Agreed.
Exactly.
So therefore, the financial intermediation that you're talking about doesn't work.
Okay.
Now the question becomes, how does that impact?
Let me explain it to me now. I'm the economist, okay, here, okay?
Because you're trying to talk both. I'm here for both. I'm here for reality.
Okay. But wait now, hold on a second. Okay.
You're trying to sway the conversation towards both.
So listen to me now.
We're talking reality, Sam.
We're
talking reality.
The parallel financial systems, they are creating problems for the Liberian economy.
Sam, don't bring your team here. You're not talking to smart right here, man. Talk reality. I don't understand.
Why you get so aggressive with me tonight? I'm trying to explain something.
Alex, allow him. Sam, what we want you to do
why you talk reality?
No, but don't attack me to that now, brother. Don't attack me to that. Listen to me very carefully.
Sam, listen to me.
Listen to me very carefully.
Sam, wait. We want you to
listen very carefully.
How that is impacting
the
current situation in the market right now in Liberia. That's how we want.
Okay, great.
Yes, you agree with Paul, but also
first of all, we jumping all over the place here, right? The first thing we're going to be discussing was the exchange rate and the effect on price level, okay, and the way that the CPI is being calculated. I agree with Paul for the reasons that he said that we should find a new way to calculate the CPI. Is too heavily weighted or skewed towards Liberian dollars. I accept
exactly.
Right. Correct. Okay. What I don't accept from Paul is that digitization, okay, is not impacting the use of the Liberian dollars, the physical currency outside. And I'm saying that it does, because there are more transactions now being denominated in Visa, MasterCard, TipMe than physical currency, right?
Gradually.
So I said to you, in order for us to know what is happening, this unusual appreciation of Liberian currency, which is by our calculation, Paul, the figure he gave us, from 170 to 145, 25 points, or almost 15% improvement in the Liberian dollar. Something is happening, right?
Okay.
And he said he did some regressions, right? In terms of the correlation that he did. But I did my own regression, my own correlation. With the economic growth rate and the money supply, the Pearson coefficient, and what that means is that it's almost a linear relationship between the economic growth rate and money supply. But in 2016, 2017, 2018, the amount of money that was infused in the economy had no relationship to economic growth rate.
Thank you.
So it was a problem.
Now, can I come in on one point about this digitization thing?
Please come in.
Okay, you see the T-bills. Let me tell you what the government is doing with the T-bills.
Right.
Okay, you see the T-bills, right? So let's say the government, you buy like $100,000 worth of T-bill from the central bank at a 20% interest rate. Yeah. So when that T-bill matures, you're going to get $120,000. So you get the government $100,000 for 3 months. The government takes that money off the market, but then after 3 months, the government has to give you back $120,000.
Right.
So the balance in your bank goes up.
Right.
Okay, to $120,000. When you attempt to draw down that money, and that's what we do in Liberia. When we have money in the account, we go to the counter, we draw it down, or we connect. They call it push and pull, mobile money. Okay, we transfer the money from our account directly to our mobile money account. Push and pull. You know, I'm not sure whether you guys have push and pull in the US. So your account balance, your money leaves your account directly onto your mobile phone. Then you know what we do when we have that money on our mobile phones? We go to cash out. We want the cash. But remember now, our money has grown by 20%.
Right.
When the paper money available in the market hasn't grown by that 20%. So it puts more pressure on the Liberian dollars in circulation.
Absolutely. All
okay,
right, that's great.
Now, it's good to talk digital money, but trust me, I know what I'm talking. I've gone to a Royal Hotel a few times to pay for my breakfast or my lunch, and they tell me the network is down. I can't pay using the Visa card, so I have to dig up the cash. Absolutely. It's high risk.
Right.
You can't trust it.
Absolutely.
Most people don't trust it. The petrol stations, the gas stations do not accept digital money. They do not accept the Visa card because of the fees attached to it. We are talking to the commercial banks to waive the fees. Most of the stores, only the supermarkets, accept the Visa card.
And
you're not sure whether the network will be up.
Yeah.
So yes, there's some impact, but you know, most of the time, those digital money increase the money supply.
Right.
They increase your account balances. That's M2. Right. Yeah?
Yeah.
But they do not expect M1.
Yep.
And our main problem here is M1.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. It is that M1 that has a direct relationship with the exchange rate. Mm-hmm. Now, the problem with the inflation thing is that it is making inflation look good. When the exchange rate is strengthening against the Liberian dollar, against the US dollars, right. When in fact it has no relationship whatsoever to the actual situation in the market. Prices are going up, calculations are coming down.
Right.
And you know, it got the whole inflation definition upside down.
Right. No.
Inflation means the general price levels.
Right, I agree with you. I absolutely agree with everything you're saying here, and that's exactly the point that I was trying to make here. I know, Sam, but what I want us to do, we have a lot to talk about.
We need to take a break.
Yeah, we have to take a break. When we come back, I want to talk about the economic growth rate, right? And I want us to talk more about the T-bill and how the central bank is managing the economy, right? And also the economic growth rate and how the central bank is managing the economy and the T-bill, right? So I want us to go in those three.
Yes, Gabriel, we may not go into that totally because you know we got different topics coming up on different Saturdays. So we just want to break into this inflation and stuff. So let me ask one last question.
I think we should take a break. We should take a break.
Okay, let's take a break right now.
Yeah, let's
take a break right now, and then we'll come back.
The old man gotta go to the small ballroom. I go back there now.
Okay, while we're taking a break, then you come back.
Yeah, please do that. Right.
Okay.
Paul, please.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture.